and welcome back to the First Time Homebuyer Show. I'm your host, Esty Klassen. All week we've been asking, what is the right age to invest in property? Is there a right age? Well, this evening we speak to the lovely Nthabiseng Mathole, who is a risk manager, YouTuber, and most importantly, homeowner. Welcome, Nthabiseng. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm well. How are you doing, Esty?
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm well, thank you. And we're really excited for this evening's show. You're going to be with us sharing your experience on what it was like purchasing your first property at the age of 22. So what are your sentiments about that question of the week? Is there a right age? What do you think?
I don't think there's a right age. I don't think that buying property has anything to do with age, but it has everything to do with being prepared and affordability as well. So whether you buy it at 22 or whether you buy it at 40 doesn't really matter, as long as you are prepared and you're able to afford it.
Exactly. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how we prepared to do this, and especially in your regard with how you were able to actually achieve this at the age of 22. Throughout the week, I was looking back to when I was 22 and what I was doing, and I had just graduated. And one of the most important things for me was finding a job. Then I wanted a really nice car, and credit record and credit score it wasn't foreign to me. I knew what it was, but I think at the age of 22, I was actively working to get a good credit score so that I could make these amazing and big investments. So why did you decide to invest in property and not other investments?
So simply, I needed a place to stay. Okay, but jokes aside, so for me, property has always been something that I have aspired to own. So I knew that immediately after varsity, as soon as I start working, I would want to invest in a property, simply because, and I've mentioned this before and also on my YouTube videos, that it is a basic need. And also I just felt like that security it would provide me was something that was very important to me. And also another thing was that I just wanted to create generational wealth for my future kids. And at the time, I sort of it so lightly, but it is different now that I have a child. But that was mainly the driving forces. I've just always aspired to owning a property. So that's been the driving factor, because it's always been a goal. And yeah, I needed a place to stay because I had started working, and I needed a place to stay in order to conveniently travel to the office. So I just decided that I would want to buy a property, and it made sense.
Exactly. And you speak about, there's no correct age to start investing. So when you're ready and you're financially secure and you took that step, you got your job, you were ready to invest. But now, how certain were you about stability at the young age of 22?
So I was very fortunate to immediately start working after varsity. And I'm very grateful for that. So I immediately landed a permanent job, and it provided me that certainty and stability of, you have a permanent job, you have a salary every single month. So I felt like I was in a position to make that call. And so, yeah, I just decided that obviously after preparing and careful consideration and thought, I decided I felt I was ready, and I then went ahead and bought the property.
And because you had just started working, and like you said, you're fortunate, and a lot of us straight after varsity, that could be a little bit tricky. It takes a little longer to find that permanent job or even the dream job that you want. Did you get any other financial help from friends or family in order to purchase that property at that young age?
No, I didn't. So all it took were my savings from my salary and financial support from the bank.
That was your biggest support.
Yeah.
You talk about savings, etc. And savings is a really big one, because when you're in varsity or while you're studying, between 19 to 21, this is the time when we should be saving, but it's not entirely possible for all of us. So maybe if you can talk a little bit in depth about your savings plan and what you did in the years before 22 to actually save enough to achieve that dream home.
So before 22, I was not saving anything. So before 22, I was still a student. So, all that mattered to me was buying clothes, buying jewelry, and entertainment. I only started taking saving seriously when I started working and I started having responsibilities. And like I said, because I was fortunate enough to start work immediately after varsity, then I got the opportunity from my salary to immediately start saving, because I know and I knew even then how important savings are. So and I mean, I worked for a bank as well, so I think that also, you know, was beneficial. So I started saving as soon as I started work, I started saving immediately, and I just gave myself time to be ready for making that decision. So yeah, before then I was not saving at all. I only started saving because that's when I started generating like a stable source of income at 22 when I started working. So yeah, then I started saving from then.
So that just shows it definitely is possible. So like as soon as you get that job, and I think it's, you know, self-discipline is very important when it comes to saving. And in your case, you definitely, you needed a
Absolutely.
roof over your head, and starting to save as soon as you start working was what you did. So there was no like lifetime savings that went into this. So it is possible to, as soon as you want it, just work hard to get it, right?
Absolutely, because I like it's something that I've always wanted. Even while I was studying, I knew that I wanted to buy a property before buying a car. You know, which are like two big decisions that usually, as you start working, you play around with. So I knew that I would want to buy a property before buying a car. So I made sure that as soon as I start working, that's what I'm going to work towards.
Exactly. So you need to think about which one is more important in that case, you know. And we briefly spoke about credit record. So what exactly did you do to ensure that your credit record was at a good amount to qualify for the loan at the bank?
So I took out a few like credits. I think I took a credit a phone contract. I also took out a credit card, and because I worked for a bank as well, I think the conversations and the little bit of research I had done and the conversations with my colleagues also helped in regards to what exactly you would need when you're buying your property. So yeah, I took out a credit card. I took out a phone contract, as well as I opened a clothing contract as well. And I just made sure that, you know, I maintain a good record by paying regularly and not skipping any payments. And then, yeah, I think that helped, because I just made sure that I don't miss any payments towards those credits. And yeah, I think it all worked out after that.
And you know, funny enough, I was talking about how at 22 I was looking for a job, etc. But a credit or clothing account was something that I've had for the longest time. So I'm literally ready to actually purchase a home because my credit score is so high. I should have jumped on that train when I had the opportunity. So there are obviously certain measures, and like you said, you started after varsity. None of this was a long-term thing. It was no, you know, years of saving. What other measures did you put in place to ensure that you could afford this home at 22?
So I didn't immediately buy the property after work. So I rented first, right? So I think that experience helped me in preparing and buying the property. So I rented for a couple of months whilst I was also saving on the side. And also it created that sense of responsibility, and also just seeing that this amount of rental that I'm paying could be used towards paying my mortgage. And obviously with all other costs considered. But I think renting sort of prepared me, and it was sort of a measure that really helped in showing that I was on the right track, or sort of prepared to make that decision. So I think it played a huge role, because, yeah, I just found myself saying that, you know, this 4,000 that I'm paying, for example, every month, I could use this to pay my mortgage instead. And yeah, I think that's how it all worked out.
Exactly. And you briefly talk about this on your YouTube channel. I think you did a show about the experience of what it was like to get this property at 22. And on the show, you talk about, you know, where you bought your property and how sure you were. Like you said earlier, you wanted it to be close to work. You know, your priority was property, not a car. You didn't want to travel. And so the amenities. So, I mean, at the age of 22, I don't think a lot of us are really certain about an area, because there's so much that goes into it. It's the area, it's the amenities around it, what is close, what, you know, what am I going to take away? What am I going to add? So how certain were you of this location at that age, or when you bought your first property?
So yeah, the rental experience also played a huge factor because I rented in the same place that I bought, but not the same property. So for those couple of months that I was renting, I got to live in the area and really experience it. And, you know, like seeing how Midrand is an area where young professionals move into. I just felt like I belonged there because I was a young professional myself, had just started work. And also, a lot of like property developments were coming about, such as your residentials. There were a lot of residentials that were being built, your companies as well being built around the area, as well as the Mall of Africa, which was upcoming as well. So like those were the things that made the area even more attractive for me. And also with the convenience of traveling, at the time I was using the Gautrain, and it really just made sense. It was so convenient. And I felt like even if I were to work in a different location, still not too far from Midrand, I'd still be able to travel conveniently while still living in the area. Even just using my car, if at a point I'd bought a car, I'd still be able to use my car conveniently to travel, because there are a lot of like access points in terms of roads. Literally have a lot of options. Traffic is terrible, but there are a lot of options when it comes to you know, like choosing which roads to use when you're going to a certain area. You have options. So, and yeah, those amenities as well, like shopping centers are close by. There are schools in case I have kids in the near future, which I do now. So those played, those really played a huge role. And I just felt like also that I really belonged in the area because, like I said, there were a lot of people like myself. And and then yeah, that just gave me the assurance that, you know, I think I'm in the right place, so I might as well just put in an offer to purchase.
Exactly, and you were so lucky because you kind of got to suss out the area before actually making such a big investment, you know, renting in the area way before. Like, it sounds like you know the whole of Midrand, you know the people around you, and the location and area
No.
needs to speak to you like that. It's too big. It needs to speak to you like
Yeah.
that, you know, the area needs to speak to you. And even more so, the actual house or property that you're going to purchase, it needs to speak to you, and you need to know the amenities, know what your future plans are. You know, like you said, kids are part of the future, and so ensure that there are schools nearby. And these are things that you have to ask
Yes,
yourself before making this big investment. Now, Nthabiseng,
absolutely.
you know, we don't like to think about backup plans. We don't want to fail at what we do. But did you maybe have a backup plan for in case you couldn't maintain the bond?
So, I mean, I think before I went into buying the property, I sat down and I did a lifestyle audit, you know, just to make sure that when I've paid everything, my bond and all property related costs, as well as other expenses, I'm still comfortable, you know, and I don't wait for the next paycheck to come. So that allowed me to sort of have savings even after even after calculating how much it would cost me to pay off everything every single month. So it allowed me to have enough savings to put aside for those rainy days. So you could say that I did have backup because I saved. I was able to save, and I didn't want to put myself in a position where 80% of my salary goes towards my expenses, and then like only 20% is left, and I can't really do much with it. So I was still able to comfortably save, as well as still, you know, entertain myself here and there. So I think that my savings played a huge role because at the time I didn't have any other income stream apart from my salary. So I just savings played a huge role basically in that.
Now, this is a new term for me, a lifestyle audit. What steps, what goes into doing a lifestyle? Like, is this where you think about what you should cut, how to make, you know, have enough savings for this backup plan? What were your personal or specific questions you asked yourself when drawing up your lifestyle audit?
Yeah, so it's just those questions, looking at all my expenses and asking myself if I really need this. Can you survive without DSTV, for example? You know, you can watch SABC 1, 2, and 3. Um, or can you survive without a certain thing? So it was just those questions around what can I live without and what do I really need? And once that was like clear and laid out, then it was a bit easier for me to then say, okay, I've cut down on 1, 2, 3. So I think I'm comfortable then in moving on and taking this big step. So yeah, it's just really asking yourself questions around, do I really need this? Can I live without it? Or maybe can I put it off for a couple of months or a year and maybe see if, I'll be comfortable after 6 months and maybe I'll introduce it back into my lifestyle type of thing. So yeah, it's basically just around asking yourself those kind of questions.
And doing this, we can ensure that we never actually, put ourselves in a situation where we cannot afford to make that bond payment. So lifestyle audit, whatever you want to call it, your savings plan, cut what you don't need. And there might be things that maybe you want to add within this, but at a reasonable cost, and that it doesn't detriment you or your investment, your big investment that you made. And Nthabiseng, we're going to run to a quick ad break, and then we're going to come right back. To our viewers at home, let us know what age or how old were you when you started investing in your first property? Do you believe that there's a right age? Let us know in the comment section below. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. Thank you so much to our viewers who are tuned in. Do not forget, comment below. Do you have any questions for Nthabiseng? Share maybe your experience when you bought your first property. Is there a right age to invest in property? Let us know in the comment section below, and we'll get to those towards the end of the show. Nthabiseng, welcome back again. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. We're going to move on to a little bit more of your future, where you are now. Because we know that you've invested in your first property at the age of 22. We understand what you've gone through to get that big investment. And have you invested in any other properties since?
Yes, I have. And it is the property that I currently live in now with my family.
Okay, so your previous property, you're renting out, right? So before you actually took that property in Midrand and wanted to rent it out, what questions did you ask yourself before renting out this property?
So yeah, obviously it was a question around whether I was gonna find a tenant, and whether the rental income that I was gonna receive was sort of going to be profitable as opposed to the money I'm paying out every month towards the property and all other property related expenses. So yeah, it was those questions, and they were a bit worrying because it was something new and I was renting it out for the first time. So yeah, I just asked myself whether it'll be easy to find a tenant as I had thought, and whether I'll make good money out of this property.
Exactly, whether or not your investment will actually, whether or not you'll reap what you sowed, right? And the process,
absolutely, yes.
The process of finding tenants, did you do that by yourself? Because that could be a really scary part of it, because you go buy this house and now you're like, okay, actually, I want to keep investing in property. So what was it like finding other tenants to take over your previous property?
So I didn't look for tenants myself. I made use of agencies, of an agency rather. I just didn't want to deal with the admin of dealing with tenants. I just felt like agents are professional in that area, and they're professionals in that area, and they have a clientele, and they can probably sell better than I could, because they are property experts and I'm not. So yeah, I just decided that going with an agent was a better decision than just doing it myself. And And yeah, it has worked out so far.
Yeah, going with an agent is almost like a safer route, you know, and it's like you said, more reliable. So you talk about finding these amazing tenants, and so now you have two bonds to pay, right? What is that like, maintaining two bonds at this age?
So, sure. At first, it was a bit challenging. So I had to do, I had to do another lifestyle audit. So, so yeah, I had to do a couple of adjustments, and but I knew that also they were gonna be temporary because I was gonna free up some cash in other financial obligations I had. You know, like I was gonna finish paying off my car soon, and my phone contract was ending, and I was not going to get the latest iPhone again ever again unless this one dies. um so yeah, it was just those few first months where I just had to be strict with my spending and just be careful and consider where my money is going. And then yeah, just after that, things were okay. I mean, it's been a year in the new property, and things have been okay. We've been comfortable, so yeah, no issues.
And you briefly mentioned that, you know, you've got good tenants, they do what they should be doing, and you obviously now have maintenance costs at that house, at your current house, and how are you handling that?
So I've been very fortunate that, you know, the tenant that lives in that property, she's been very good. So we have not had to deal with fixing things or repairing or replacing. So she's been very good. I think the one time that we had to fix something was a leakage with the tap, and that was about a year ago, I think, or two. And ever since then, we have not had any other maintenance related issues. And we do, well, by we I mean like the agents, they do like a routine check, if I may call it, like twice a year or so, in just checking if the property is still in good standing, and then they provide us with the report. And yeah, so far we have not had any issues. It was just that one incident, and it was done and dealt with, and I hope that she keeps it up.
It's always good to have good tenants that, you know, don't give you too many issues. And, you know, you briefly spoke about Midrand being a developing area. It's close to a lot of things. And the apartments, you said new developments. And that's, I think, what's so amazing about investing in new developments is that it's modern. A lot of the things don't need a lot of fixing. Whereas if you're investing in a very old property, you probably would have had so much more maintenance to do if you had taken that at that age.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think on this topic of, you know, buying new property, one of my biggest questions was, you were 22 at the time, you now have two bonds and things are going smoothly, you have an amazing tenant. Or do you believe, or do you feel as if this property is now a burden to you?
So I felt like that, like I think it was the beginning of this year, especially because I have not yet reaped what I sowed. So what I mean is, with that, with the rental income that I'm getting, it's I am paying towards the property. So yeah, I've had like moments where I felt like this is pointless. I want to get rid of it. I want to sell. I've even like spoken to agents about selling the property because I feel like, but I'm not making any profit out of it. But then I just had to take a step back and remember the reason why I bought the property in the first place, that in the long run, it's definitely going to be beneficial. And so, yeah, I think after just sitting down and just reminding myself of why I bought the property, and yeah, I said, you know what, it's fine, it's okay, it's not too bad. I can still comfortably make it every single month, so it's not too bad to a point where I find myself like, I'm struggling, I can't make ends meet or whatever. So so yeah, I just took a step back and I said, you know what, I need to remember why I did this, and that has kept me going. So I don't feel like it's a burden anymore. I did at first, but not anymore.
Listen, Nthabiseng, everything was a burden this year. It was 2020 and COVID. Everything and everyone was a
Yeah.
burden. But so, to ensure that it doesn't become a burden again, would you say that what tools do you use? Would you say it's more mental? Like you've been saying a lot about, you had to tell yourself that, or remind yourself on why you bought this property. Would you say it's more of a mental reassurance than anything else?
So it could be a couple of things. Mental reassurance played a role with me, but also I think just exploring other avenues that could generate other sources of income have also, given me that stability of being comfortable with where I am with that property right now. So yeah, I think it's a bit of both. It's the um, because I'm paying too much on that property, I know that I still have other sources of income. So at least I can be comfortable, and also just reassuring myself that I bought this for my child and my child is here. So I don't want to disappoint her.
Exactly. Reassurance plays such a key role. So, I mean, looking back, what would you say are the other benefits of investing in property?
So I think for me, a huge one has been, security, just knowing that I have a place that is my own, is a home. And also the independence that came with it. It taught me independence. That's like financial independence at such a young age, because I found myself paying for my own groceries, my own electricity, water, and all of these other related costs. So it provided that. And yeah, I just think that also that sense of accomplishment, because it's something that I've always wanted to acquire, and haven't been afforded that opportunity at that age. I think that, yeah, it's really been amazing. So for me, security, absolutely, just knowing that I have a place that is my own. And also because I bought at such a young age, I feel like, as I grow older and I reach my 40s or 50s, I'll be in a position to enjoy the returns at that point.
I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was reading an article in the week on Property 24's page, which was really about how majority of South Africans are investing or buying their first homes at the age of 40 to 50. And at this time, we've got so much debt. We've probably got kids at that age, and you've made other business investments. So the earlier the better is basically what the conclusion is, because straight after varsity, no kids, you've got a job, you've secured a permanent job. That's the best time to invest in property. How do you feel about your investment now, years after buying it? It's not a burden to you anymore, which is good. But how do you feel about it now?
Yeah, so I think also, reiterating what I said earlier, I feel like I made the best decision, because just remembering why I did it in the first place, I've managed to achieve that. And also just that I'll be able to just enjoy the returns in my 40s, because I've made that decision early. So in my 40s or 50s or 30s, I need to calculate how many years I'm left with paying off this property. But but as soon as I'm done, as soon as I'm done paying it off, then I'll be on an island somewhere enjoying the benefits of.
Exactly. And Nthabiseng, you wanted to leave us with just a few words before we close off the show. You can go ahead and just, I know you wanted to speak about, the whole age thing and investing in property. So please share that with us.
Yeah, so I just wanted to mention, because I also spoke about this on my YouTube channel, and I just wanted to mention that, I hope that my journey or this story does not put pressure on anyone to want to acquire property at a particular age, because really it's not about at what age you can buy the property, but rather about how prepared you are in buying a property and whether you can afford the property. So age really does not mean anything. If you're fortunate to buy it early, then absolutely it's great. But if not, then it doesn't mean that it's, you failed, or you are late, or whatever the case is. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to say. And I really hope that, this conversation or my story has helped someone out there that's listening and is on the journey of acquiring the first property, or just thinking about it, or just wanting to have more information around what it consists, buying a property for the first time. So yeah. That's
It
all I wanted to
definitely
say.
has helped us in Nthabiseng. And like you say, no pressure. We're all running this race at our own pace. So no pressure to, invest at an early age. You were really fortunate enough to do that, which is amazing. And I think however old you are, there is no right age to invest. That's to answer the question of the week. There is no right age. If you are financially ready, do so now. And I think the main goal is just to start investing in property. So Nthabiseng, thank you again for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you so much for
Esti.
sharing your journey, your experience. And still, if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to do it now after the show in the comment section. And we'll see you guys again next week, same time, same place. And also, we have a first-time home buyer Facebook group to anyone who has questions about buying your first property, wanting to see new property. Click on the link in the comment section and join that group. We'll see you next week at 7:45. Thank you and stay safe.
Hi, I'm Clifton Smithers. I live in Bolito, where my partners and I run a business called Union 3. As a family, we chose to move here about 6 years ago. What attracted us to the area was the safe and relaxed lifestyle of the North Coast. We're surrounded by so much natural beauty, and we love that it's so casual. It's just not as intense as a busy city. In fact, that's one of the main reasons there's so many people moving into the area. There's some amazing lifestyle estates out here. We've got St. Barley, Brettonwood Estate, and Zimbiti, to name a few. The Bolito Lifestyle Centre caters to everyone's needs. There's also some smaller commercial centres like Tiffany's in Salt Rock. There's some excellent restaurants to choose from, and there's a really wide variety of activities on offer. From mountain biking out on the trails to surfing at any one of the beaches, there really is something for everyone. This quiet little town really comes alive over the weekend. The live concerts in the farmers market at the Lychee Orchard is very popular. With the new international airport just 15 minutes down the road and the unmatched lifestyle that this place offers, it's no wonder that the North Coast is the fastest growing town in South Africa. My family and I absolutely love it here, and this is our neighborhood.